going. Okay, so if you'd like to come into a comfortable seated position, again, whatever that means for you, if you can sit cross-legged easily, just put your other leg in front, so it's like your awkward leg, just so eventually it can even up the hips a little. Hands on your knees, like always. Let's roll the shoulders back, close down the eyes if that feels comfortable. Let's take a big inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And again, inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. One more time, big inhale through the nose and exhale. And just come back to your natural breath. Every exhale, just see if you can get your body to relax a little bit more. Try to get rid of any tension that you might have built up during the day. And we will begin. If you like to blink open your eyes, if you haven't done so already. Let's inhale, sweep the hands up above the head. And then exhale, bend it over to one side. Doesn't matter which, just a little side stretch. Trying to get as much length as we can between the hip and the armpit, okay, on the arm that's on top. So really reach over, keep your hips on the ground. Inhale, bring the hands up, and then stretch it over to the other side. So your ribs that are further away from the ground, imagine pushing them out. So you can get a little bit more of a stretch there. Inhale, hands up. And then let's twist it over to the first side. So one hand behind, one hand on the knee. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, twist. Every time you inhale, lengthen. Every time you exhale, twist a tiny bit deeper. Okay, and again, inhale, bring your hands up. Exhale, twist it over to the other side. Again, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, twist. And then come back to center. Let's roll all the way over onto all fours. So shoulders over the wrists, hips above the knees, spread your fingers nice and wide. Let's just take a couple of cat-cows. So inhale, drop the belly down, open the chest in between the shoulders. And then exhale, push the mat away, round the spine, tuck the tailbone. Inhale, stick the bum out and drop that belly down. Exhale, reverse. Let's just do 2 more of these at your own pace. Inhaling as you open the chest. Exhale as you reverse. And then come back to center when you're done. Okay, hands out a little bit further than the shoulders. Tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. Now this is our first down dog of the day. So bend those knees, reach your chest as far back as you can. Okay, really lengthen through the spine and then straighten one leg. Take an inhale and an exhale. And then rebend and straighten the other leg. Inhale and exhale on this side too. And then rebend, straighten the other leg. So sometimes what you see in yoga classes is people like bicycling out the legs really fast. Really, we want to keep one side straight until we've done an exhale. Okay, because it's on the exhale that your muscles will start to lengthen. So try and take it nice and slow. Okay, and we're going to begin our little sequence. So toes together at the back of the mat. Again, we're going to go through this nice and slow to start with. Lift your left leg up high. So 3-legged dog. Now you're going to step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Okay, so straight into our lizard lunge. Now, because your foot is coming out at an angle here, it's coming out towards the side, your knee is coming out at an angle, so make sure your foot goes the same direction. Okay, so instead of your foot being parallel, it's going to come out slightly. Okay, so just point your toes out. Try and sink those hips down low. If it's too much, lower that back knee. If you can, stay up a little bit higher. Okay, it is going to make it a little bit deeper though. So if you want to do your knee down for this first round, feel free. Slow breaths. Okay, we're going to walk our hands towards the right side. Now, as you do this, your left toes are also going to point towards the top right corner of your mat. Now, your left bum cheek is going to come all the way down to your left heel and come into a side lunge. Right leg stays straight, right toes point up towards the ceiling. Doesn't matter if your left foot, your left heel comes off the ground here, okay? So I'm just going to show that again. So from your lizard lunge, you just turned towards the right, straightened that right leg, bent that left knee a lot. If this position is too much, come up higher. Come up into a side lunge. If you're all the way down, use your left elbow or your left arm to open up that left knee and then place your fingers back on the ground. It's going to open up those hips a little bit more. Breathe into it. Should be feeling this down the right leg. Now bring your hands to the center. Bend into both knees. Bring those hips up high. Keep your toes pointing out at like a 45-degree angle, okay? Slight bend of the knees, just so you can roll yourself all the way up to standing. Okay. Bend the knees a lot. Come into your goddess squat. If it feels too wide, which it might do, because we were in a side lunge, just shuffle your feet in a little bit closer, okay? Eventually, you really want to go as low as you can so that your hips are in line with your knees. I'm not quite there yet. But if you can, feel free. Lengthen up through the spine so you're not leaning forward. Either hands on hips or hands on knees or even hands at heart center. Slow breaths here. I know this is a burning one for the legs. Okay, bend forward, hands to the ground. And from here, we are going to come back to our side lunge. So hands move closer towards the left leg. Sorry, I did this earlier. Now I'm thinking, how did I get into this? So come back to your side lunge. Drop your left knee down onto the ground. If it's like me, you've come off the mat a little bit, just shuffle backwards so your knees on the mat so it's on a nice soft surface. Okay. From here, walk your hands back to the center of your mat and see if you can kick your right heel as far away from you as you can, okay? Opening up those hips. Again, quite a strong one. Feel free to use yoga blocks here. And hold here for a second. Should be feeling this, opening up those hips. And then walk your hands back towards your left knee. Slide that right leg back in. Bring it in quite a lot. Plant your foot on the ground so that you end up with this like square shape in between your leg. Okay, so we've gone from our kind of half side splits. Brought it into this square shape. Okay, rise on up. Left hand on the left hip, right hand on the right knee. Bend into that right knee, sink those hips down low. Hold it here. Now here, my right heel is in line with my left knee, okay? So bend it down, so don't have it too far back. it down as far as you can. Couple breaths here. Come on back up, hands to the ground. Tuck your left toes under, bring your left knee up, and you're going to shuffle yourself back and just kind of wiggle side to side until you can come into a yogi squat. So wiggle it, wiggle it, wiggle it. Yogi squat. Elbows on the inside of your knees, hands at heart center. Again, you can always come up higher if you need to come up higher. Okay, so nice big hip opening sequence today. Hands are going to come back and frame the left foot. And we're just going to walk our feet back and come back to downward facing dog. Well done. Okay, I'm going to do a vinyasa now. So roll forward into plank. Lower your knees if you want, or keep them up. Come all the way down onto your belly. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, open the chest. Exhale, back down. Push back up onto your knees. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Okay, I'm just going to switch sides just so that I'm not facing away from you for the next sequence. Toes together at the back of the mat. Right leg lifts up high behind. Set the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Lizard lunge. Okay, so remember that foot is coming out at a slight angle because your knee's coming out as well. If you need to lower that back left knee, feel free. If not, keep it up. Sink those hips down low. Try to keep your chest open here. So if your back leg's up, try not to round, okay? Open that chest. Sink those hips down. Walk your hands more towards the middle of your mat. So your right toes can come in. Sit your right bum cheek down towards your right heel. Left leg goes straight. Left toes point up. Maybe using your right arm to open up that right knee. Keep that chest open. The aim here in this pose as well, if you can come down pretty low, is to eventually get that right heel down onto the ground. So you would end up leaning further back to get it down. I'm so close, but just a little bit more. But you never have to get it down either. Okay, from here, walk your hands more into the middle of your mat, bend both knees, roll on up to standing. Hands to the hips to start with. Let's bend the knees, come down into your goddess pose, and then place your hands wherever you want. Heart center, knees, hips, up above if you want. Really open yourself up. Completely up to you here. Couple breaths, see if you can sink a little bit lower. Hands down to the ground. Bring your right hip back down towards your right heel. Come back to that side lunge. From here, drop your right knee down to the ground towards like the long side of your mat. Again, maybe shuffle backwards if your knees come off the mat like myself. Walk your hands back towards the middle of your mat so you can push your left ankle further away from you. Slide it out and sink those hips down low here. Make sure that you're breathing nice, slow inhales and exhales. Then walk your hands back towards your right knee. Slide that left foot in or wiggle it in until you've got that square shape in between your legs. And then roll on up. Okay, right hand on the right hip, left hand on the left knee. Bend into that left knee, sink those hips down low. Slow inhale and exhale. Come on back up, hands down to the ground in front of you. Tuck your right toes under. Come back and we're going to wiggle ourselves into our yogi squat. So rock side to side. Come into your squat. Hands at heart center if you can. Elbows opening up the knees. Slow inhales, slow exhales. Hands come down to frame the right foot. And then we're just going to step the feet back to downward facing dog. Let's flow through our vinyasa. So roll forward into plank. Lower the knees if you want. Come halfway or all the way. Come into your cobra or up dog. Just hands and feet on the ground. If you're in your cobra, lower down. Come back to your knees to down dog. If you're just on your hands and your feet, you can tuck the toes under and just come straight into down dog. Okay, I'm just going to switch sides again so I'm not facing away from you. So that's our little sequence today. So toes together at the back of the mat. Let's lift the left leg up high. Exhale, step it up next to the left hand. Lizard lunge. Walk your hands more towards the middle. Come down into that side lunge, left side. So left hip comes down towards the left ankle, right leg straight, right toes point up. Hands come back to the middle. Bend both knees, roll up through the body, come up to standing. Hands to the hips, bend those knees down into your goddess. Can you get a little bit lower this time? Notice here as well, before we carry on, that my knees are above my ankles. Like it would be really easy to come in further to get down lower, but I'm not. I'm keeping my ankles nice and wide here, so I can get a little bit more of a hip opening, okay? Makes it a little bit harder. Hands come back down to the ground, come back to that side lunge. Left side, right side straight. Drop that left knee. Hands come more to the center. Right ankle slides away from you. Sink down. It's up to you here, by the way, what you do with your right toes. You can point them or you can flex them. It really doesn't matter. Maybe just have a little play and see which feels best for you. Walk your hands back towards your left knee. Slide that right foot in. Make that right angle. Bring your right heel in line with your left knee. Come on up. Bend into that right knee. Sink down low. Sometimes it's really good to see yourself on camera as well because you can see your positioning. Or practice in front of the mirror. Hands back down, tuck the left toes under. Let's wiggle into that squat. Wiggle it around. Open up those knees. Hands frame the left foot. Step it back to down dog. Flow through a vinyasa. Roll forward. Exhale down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale down. Push back up onto your knees. Exhale to down dog. Couple breaths here. Feel free to miss out the vinyasas as well and just come into a child's pose or just come straight into down dog. Just going to switch sides again. Right leg's going to come up as you inhale. Exhale, step it to the outside of the right hand, lizard lunge. Hands move more towards the center. Side lunge on the right side, straighten that left leg, toes point up. Just notice here as well if you can feel a big difference between sides. Normally, people can. Hands to the middle, bend both knees, roll on up to standing. Hands to the hips, exhale, sink low. Hands back down to the ground, come back to that side lunge. Drop that right knee down. Hands towards the middle of the mat. Kick that left leg away from you as far as you can. Hands come back towards the right knee. Shuffle that left leg in. Find that square shape. Left heel in line with the right knee. Come on up. Bend back into that left knee. Sink those hips down low. If you repeat this class daily, you will see a huge difference in your middle splits. That's my goal. Come on back up, hands to the ground, tuck your right toes under, wiggle yourself back into your yogi squat, maybe left foot back slightly, right foot forward. Hands at heart center, lengthen through the spine. Hands frame the right foot, step it back to down dog. Optional vinyasa, feel free to skip it. Roll forward to plank, exhale lower, inhale cobra or up dog, exhale, and we'll meet back in downward facing dog. We're going to go through that one more time. So let's kick up the left leg behind us. Exhale, step it through to lizard. Walk towards the side, side lunge on the left side, right leg straightens, right toes come up. Come back to middle, bend both knees, roll on up to standing, hands to the hips, bend the knees, goddess pose. Hands to the ground, back to your side lunge, right leg straight, left leg bent. Left knee comes down to the ground, hands come towards the middle, kick that right leg away from you, slide it out. Bring it back in, just inch it in. You can always just wiggle your foot and kind of inch it in, little bit, little by little. Square shape with the legs, come on up, sink into those hips. Sink down, bend into that right knee. Come on back up, hands to the ground, wiggle into that squat. Hips down low, back up nice and straight. Hands are going to frame the left foot, step it back to down dog. Optional vinyasa, flow forward, exhale down, inhale cobra or up dog, exhale, and we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Okay, let's inhale, right leg up high. Exhale, step it up out to the outside of the right hand. Come into that side lunge, right side, left leg straight. Hands to the middle, bend both knees, roll on up to goddess. Come on down. Sink those hips down low. Hands to the ground, side lunge, right leg, left leg straight. Right knee down to the ground. Hands towards the middle of your mat. Slide that left leg away from you. Sink your hips down nice and low. Shuffle it back on up. Find that square shape. Roll on up. Sink into those hips again. Little rest in a second. Come on back up, hands to the ground. Tuck your right toes, wiggle into that little squat. Now release the hands. Hands are going to come behind you. Take a seat. Bring your legs out in front. Bounce the knees up and down. Might feel nice to have the legs together right now. Heels, hips distance. Inhale, reach the hands up. Exhale, fold. You can always keep a slight bend of the knees here. Try and slow down the breath. And then walk yourself back up. And we're going to roll onto our backs. So slowly lowering down, hug those knees in. I'm just going to open up the back of the hips slightly here. So bring your knees above your hips and legs into like a tabletop position. Now cross your right leg over your left as if you're sat on a chair. And from here, I'm going to drop this leg shape towards the left. Okay, so drop it over the bottom leg, your left leg. It's going to help your right leg get closer towards the ground here. Arms can be in line with your shoulders, or you can have cactus arms. Just a little spinal twist. If this feels too much, unhook the legs and just stack them instead, okay? Just makes the twist a little bit deeper. Slow down the breath here, a couple long inhales and exhales. It doesn't matter if your right shoulder, your right arm is nowhere near the ground. And then bring your legs back up to center. Unhook them. Going to do that on the other side. So cross your left leg on top of your right. Drop that shape over towards the right. Maybe arms in line with your shoulders or cactus the arms. Sometimes this can add a nice little back click as well. I don't know if anyone else gets that. I always get it on this side, but not the other side. And try to relax your body as much as possible. Nice slow breaths. Maybe even closing down the eyes if you feel comfortable doing that. And then bring your legs back up to center. Let's hug them in again. Maybe gently rock side to side or round in circles with the knees. If you've gone around in circles, just make sure you go the other way. And then let's take those legs out long and find Shavasana. So feet about hips distance, let your feet flop open, arms down by the sides, maybe tucking the shoulder blades under just to open up the chest a little bit more. Close down the eyes if that feels okay. And let's take a big inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And again, inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And again, inhale through the nose. Hold your breath at the top. And slow exhale through the mouth. And then come back to your natural breath. Let's just take a moment here to really focus on relaxing the muscles. Every exhale, letting the tension release, the work that we've done release. What tends to happen in Vinyasa classes is we build up a lot of energy. So it's really good that we do slow the body down afterwards so that we don't leave the mat a little bit, let's say hyper, but yeah, hyper all over the place. Energy bursting out everywhere. It's nice to kind of bring yourself back down, feel a little bit more grounded. Just soften your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw. The whole of the torso. Your arms, hands and fingers. And your legs, feet and toes. Just make sure the breath is completely slowed down. And as always, feel free to stay here as long as you like, but if you are ready, gently wiggling the fingers and the toes, taking a nice big stretch up overhead, and gently rolling over onto one side, and slowly pushing yourself up to seated. And let's inhale, sweep the hands up above the head. Exhale, hands to heart center. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If your legs are feeling a little bit achy in the morning, I would say do some back of the hip opening. So things like we did, lying down, crossing your legs over and going to one side, the spinal twist, or even just a seated twist, okay, with your knees stacked and lengthen through your spine. Thank you so much. Thank you.